Congratulations, class! We made it to our last week of statistics. My project was based off of gender roles in the home. I am Catherine Jordan, and we all took statistics for social science. It has become an increasingly large topic since the American Society and many other societies are beginning to see an influx of women in the workforce after World War II. A gender role can be described as the expected behavior towards and from an individual based on the individual's sex. With gender roles, typically the woman would be the primary caregiver for the children, while the man would go off to work and be the breadwinner. Society is beginning to see a change where either both genders are breadwinners, or that the women are becoming the primary breadwinner, leaving the man at home to take care of the home and children. Gender roles for a household are stemmed from how a person was first introduced in their own home while growing up. Specializing in either the labor force or the household begins in childhood, when parents begin training their sons to work outside the home and their daughters to work inside the home doing domestic jobs. With the shift that society is beginning to identify with, this research is going to investigate if gender does still play an effect to who stays at home and which one goes to work. There are many different factors for a household that chooses to have a stay-at-home parent. These factors can vary from economic value, who can make more money outside of the home, or value of parental care versus maternal care, gender role attitude, and if the individual will have social support outside of the home. The most common research topic on this is the economic value of which party can attain more money in the workforce as the running deciding factor. Gender role theory is the group shared gender stereotype that has developed from the gender division of labor that is seen in a society. According to this theory, the history of long-standing expectations for the gender roles is why we see that men are supposed to be the breadwinners and women are supposed to oversee home. Another theory that emerges in understanding the family division of labor is exchange theory. George Simmel, a classic sociologist, believed that most relationships can be considered under the category of exchange. Exchange theory is associated to family life because it is believed that members use their bargaining power with their resources to maximize their usefulness. When the exchange theory is applied to childcare, if one spouse's income is lower than the cost of childcare, then this individual has a higher probability of staying at home and providing childcare and domestic duties. When it comes to views on gender role attitude, there's research that shows our views change on gender roles during the different seasons of our lives. Findings from Hamiley was that males are generally more traditional than females, and that the difference between the two views narrow over their lifespan. General Social Survey is the database that we all used. It is from the 2008 database. My variables from this database were sex. It was the independent variable, which was just the respondent's gender. Then my other variable, my dependent variable, was FEFAM. And with this variable, they asked the respondents, it is much better for everyone involved if the man is the achiever outside the home and the woman takes care of the home and family. The respondents were able to choose a strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. Measures of central tendency and dispersion. In this chart, we see the mean, median, and mode, along with standard deviation and variance for each variable. Under better for a man to work, woman tend home, of the valid answers, the mean was 2.97, which is the only 0.03 from the median, that is 3, and the mode, that is 3 also. Looking at the respondent's sex, the mean is 1.55, while the mode and the mean are 2. 2 was coded for female. There are more female that took the survey than males. The bar charts of the data give us a visual representation of the frequency charts. When the data is presented in a bar chart, it shows the response that was selected most. On if it is better for a man to work and a woman to tend home, the highest response is disagree, with around 700 responses. With the second bar chart of the respondent's sex, it shows us that more females took the 2018 survey provided by the GSS than the males did. Cross-tabulations is a matrix that provides us with the distribution of one variable for each category of the second variable. With this table, we see that when we run our two variables, that most of the respondents fell into the disagree or strongly disagree categories. We can also see that the total number of participants is 1,545. The 10% rule means that if the echelon is higher than 10%, it has a significant relationship, and further investigation could be made on those variables. One of the rows meets the 10% rule, so there is likely to be a significant relationship between the DV and the IV. Also, since two rows are over 5%, it cannot be completely ruled out. The first row's echelon is 0.3%. The second row is 5.6%. The third row is 5.7%. And the last row is 11.5%. With both of my variables being ordinal variables, the best measure of association to run is gamma. Since the gamma value is 0.188, this indicates that it has a less than perfect association. A value of measure of association that is typically found between 0.10 through 0.29 is classified as a moderate strength of association, which is where this data is classified at. And since both of the independent variable and dependent variable increase, we can infer that the direction is a positive association. The chi-square test is the test of significance. Since both of my variables are both categorical and ordinal, it was the best test of significance. My null hypothesis is that gender is not a factor in the belief that a man goes to work and the woman tends to the home in a traditional family. My research hypothesis is that gender is a factor in the belief that a man goes to work and the woman tends to the home in a traditional family. We all have the same significance level of 0.05, and in this we can see that P is less than 0.001. So when we compare the two, our P is less than the alpha, so we get to reject the null hypothesis. Since the data shows that the null hypothesis should be rejected, that means that the research hypothesis is supported, but not proven. It is supported that gender does have a factor in the belief that a man should go to work and a woman should tend to the home. So in our data, we see the most significant relationship between the answers strongly disagree, with the female answer being the strongest difference between any other answer. Other than that, with these two categories, there was not much of an association between the two variables. So in conclusion, these findings were almost mirrored of the findings of Himili, that the women are more egalitarian than men because of how strongly they feel against men working and women staying home to tend the domestic life. This study has shown that almost a quarter of the American adult population still tends to believe in the traditional gender role associations of our society. Another variable that could be explored is the reason why there is a gap between the female respondents and male respondents in the strongly disagree category. This research project has been able to shine a light on the different variables that might affect the answers that are shown in research papers and other outlets that might show statistical data. Through my research, I was able to see that there is more to gender roles than I had originally thought, such as exchange theory and social role theory.